Hi guys, hello, me today. It's MicheleMarieDalene. Today, these issues are not nice. Okay, these are real issues that are affecting everyday people's lives. They're not nice. The last few videos I did that were definitely more family friendly got not monetized. Orange circle with all side. I peeled all three today. And I'm getting a little bit ticked off, to be honest with you, that these robotic AI programs cannot seem to look at the person's reputation and history and making its decisions of what is monetized and demonetized. And I'm starting to seriously wonder, as we've already heard and read about the YouTube versus New York Times articles, that there is some deliberate massaging of the top news stories so that the least popular news stories from the fake news media gets put on the top. Well, the most important stories, the highest valued, the most sought after, such as Alex Jones and InfoWars, gets basically thrown at the bottom of the heap. Now, on the other hand, I'm going to be honest with this. I can see where these top trending stories could be a valuable asset for unknown news sites that want to get out the story that don't have the kind of leverage that InfoWars has. I don't have the leverage InfoWars has. I'm in technically a news site, although I do cover news too. I'm just saying is look, here's the deal. If my whole life has always been, in the last few years, come on, I started on YouTube originally in 2011. I started getting into videos. I started with my iPhone 3GS taped to my camera tripod, of all things. I had to work less than 15 minutes because there was no guarantee that the shipping tape was going to hold the phone on much more than that. So obviously, in those early years, the camera was always at the risk of going smash. So I had to cock fast and hope to God that my phone survived, which it did. It never fell broke, but I had a couple bad scares in the early years. Now, of course, I'm still doing YouTube videos today, right? By the way, I changed the white balance in this video to make me look less blue and closer to normal skin. At least I think I am. I don't know. I haven't really had a chance to sit in front of the camera and check. But there is ways to deal with that besides using a color correcting filter, which we both know is a real pain in the ass. I'm not going to go through that. So for me to go out there and cover a story of importance, it's not because I'm trying to get the next Pulitzer Prize. I'm talking the stories that I see that are important so that you will know the heads up. Like I mentioned earlier this morning in the vlog about the electromagnetic pulse report that was presented to Congress by the Department of Defense that said that the United States is ill-prepared for an electromagnetic pulse. And then within a year's time, 90% of the U.S. people could die off. And obviously that triggered somebody in my audience, and he got all upset. And I can sense that one part of his upsetness was because of fear. He didn't know how to cope with the fact that it's very possible, depending where you live, that could be the end of your life, your livelihood, or just basically a very bad time. However, I told him straight out, I said, you're not the only one that feels unprepared by this. I am no more prepared than you are. You're talking about something where it's going to affect all the just-in-time, all the deliveries, because everything today depends on electronics. We get orders are delivered by truck. The trucks have GPS sensors on the back, which is part of the logging system for order tracking and management. We have warehousing. That depends on the computers to manage inventory. You have electricity. It needs refrigeration systems in, like, obviously in the grocery store warehouses. You have fuel depots that need to have the same kind of tracking to know where fuel deliveries are. We have the SCADA, which is used for the electric and the gas systems. We have all these computers that are depending on energy from the power grid to keep everything running. And if something goes wrong, the North Korea knows this. According to the Department of Defense, launch an EMP 300 miles high in the sky, the damage spread covers the entire continental United States, southern Canada, and northernmost Mexico. No one talks about Canada or Mexico. Why? You think we're an individual country in the middle of nowhere? Of course not. We are a country surrounded by Mexico in the south and Canada in the north. Now they're going to get knocked out too, because most of the Canadians live in the southernmost part of Canada. So when they lose their electricity, they're going to be freezing. And if the people in Mexico, they'll probably fare off a little better because their country doesn't really get quite as cold, but they're still going to have a lot of problems when they can't get the food to their markets because there's no fuel and all that stuff. So yes, that is a serious issue. And he's accused, this man is saying, I'm telling him that I don't know anything about electromagnetic pulse. Excuse me. I was talking about EMPs from the sun all the way back in 2012. Actually, I was talking about them potentially all the way back in 2000, but the Y2K issue was a computer software problem. It's not an electromagnetic pulses like it happened, but I did mention, and this is still a problem to this day, that the American power grid is old and crusty, and some of the systems are barely hanging on, except maybe by a little bit piece of rust here and there, and that's it. There are places that the grid has never been updated. See, you're talking about something like a major electromagnetic pulse, even from the sun. Like, we have another Great Carrington event, like 1859 alone. That would make North Korea's EMP look small. That will seriously have an impact on America. We already saw what happened just recently with South Africa, which was at the epicenter of when this EMP arrived. This X10 flare, something like that, came into the earth. It went right. It was South Africa was in the line of fire. Radio blackouts all over the place. Power blackouts in places too. I mean, not as bad as it could have been, but that's not the point. The sun is a highly unstable star, and it can generate all kinds of electricity and do a number on you. So, I think it's time that we're going to have to revisit that, because there's a real issue. And it's not going to go away just because I don't say it's going to happen. Out of sight, out of mind, right? No, it doesn't work that way. Out of sight, out of mind means basically is you're not even keeping in mind that it's still a real possibility. 2003, it was August 11th, 2003. A power grid failure which happened in Ohio basically sent electricity, that was supposed to send electricity through the grid, caused a severe brownout because of a tree limb or a stick fell into a transformer that basically blacked out the whole East Coast of the United States. Why wasn't ISO New England knocked out? Because they saw it happen, and they pulled off the grid. They pulled their circuit breakers and got off the grid ASAP. Our lights did dim for about a minute. We lost power for about a minute. They pulled the breaker that connected them to the backbone of the U.S. power grid because they saw something was really wrong. Now, what happened to the rest of the country? Well, for example, we know New York was plunged in darkness, right? We know that parts of Ohio were plunged in darkness. Parts of Pennsylvania was plunged in darkness. A lot of the non-New England states in the East Coast were at least at the risk of being plunged in darkness. The thing was, did they fix the problem now? Or did they just put a Band-Aid on it? 2003 was 14 years ago, guys. So think about it. If it's 14 years ago, what did they do to fix it? Is it fixed? Or is it just out of sight, out of mind? Because it's no longer a big news story. North Korea isn't stupid. They know if they can manage to get their EMP weapon in the center of the country, detonated at least 300 miles above the earth. We're not even talking about nuclear explosion necessarily. After all, EMP is technically radiation free, okay, as far as harmful radiation to people. That will be enough to totally cripple the entire United States. That is not something that most people are even willing to consider a possibility. One of the reasons is very simple. We know the United States is huge, okay? I forgot how many miles it is between Hartford and Los Angeles. Or Hartford and San Fran. It's long. This country is about 3,000, 4,000 miles long between Hartford and San Francisco. The point here is this. It's got a big network of infrastructure in the form of underground pipelines carrying things from propane, natural gas, gasoline, and diesel, jet fuel, and let's not forget power lines carrying electricity, crisscrossing both under and above ground. These pipelines and these cables are the lifeblood that is keeping this country alive. And some of these cables go right across the New Madrid fault line. Okay? Now, that's another issue that I don't think North Korea would know how to create an artificial earthquake. I'll leave that one alone. But if they do, they know that would be the right place to drop their earthquake pills. Because that's going to rip the country right in half. East and west of the Mississippi, right there in New Madrid, which is right in the Missouri area. Wow. Big boom, big separation of country. The sad truth is that we have been very fortunate that the New Madrid has been quiet. But it's not going to stay quiet. They're already showing some signs that because the size to be all around the world is on the rise. It's not going to take much to rip all the infrastructure in half. And by the way, if North Korea does launch an EMP and does totally debilitate the entire infrastructure, there won't be no way for anybody to be acknowledged that that has totally destroyed itself of an earthquake, because there will be no alarms going off anywhere. So all that propane, jet fuel, natural gas, heating oil, electricity, what's left of it, is all going to combine in the big giant fireball. That is real. That's the real story. That's not no out of sight, out of mind. Okay? So you guys keep talking about how you think that that's not going to happen. Koreans, North Koreans, working with their paid teams of hackers. They have a very elite hacking force in North Korea. They're going through the internet and sipping data from here to there and are deliberately looking for vulnerabilities in infrastructures of countries all over the internet. Sorry, it's true. And if you think I like talking about something like that, I do not. But I have to address it. Okay, so now we brought up the worst of the worst. What can we do to prepare? I might as well bring that up because it's just as important. What can we do to prepare for the worst of the worst? I keep hearing the expression, God, gold, and guns. God, a faith in God or a higher power is certainly essential. It's going to help you because it's going to prepare you spiritually for the reality that maybe, just maybe, you won't make it. Maybe you will. But again, that's up to divine providence and it has nothing to do with anything you can do in that area. Gold, for gold, for the price of gold, to be honest, yes, you need barter money, but you're also going to need to consider stockpiles of supplies that you're going to use every day. Okay, for example, solar panels. Will they be affected by an EMP or not? I don't know. Will the inverters be affected? You bet they would be. But if you're not exactly in the epicenter of the EMP attack, and if your inverters are completely separated from the grid, maybe you will be fine. But just in case, come up with a backup plan. Okay, you need to have food on hand. If the transportation system totally goes out of order, you are going to be totally screwed. Ask the people in Puerto Rico what happened to their island after Hurricane Maria. Maria totally destroyed all the infrastructure in Puerto Rico. They still are struggling, and they know that there only will be so much FEMA can do to get the island back on its feet. Just like the United States, mainland Puerto Rico had problems. It had an electric system that was basically barely holding on. Originally, corrupt bureaucracy, same as here, it's really not different. It's just that the Hurricane Maria basically leveled the whole thing. It just basically totally blew up the whole island. So they have to totally rebuild from scratch. Same thing with Dominica. Same thing with even in Florida. They said there are parts of Florida that may not have electricity for months. That they have to rebuild the power system of Florida. The same thing with Texas and Houston. Guys, this is incredibly important because everything I'm telling you is where you can see what happens if you're not prepared. But how can you prepare? It's so big. It's huge. It's just a mind-boggling. For example, the Florida utility company says, it may take as long as 4 to 6 months for us to return power to Florida, as we have to totally rebuild the power system from scratch. Ouch. Same thing with Puerto Rico. We have to totally rebuild the power system from scratch. How many gallons of gasoline are you going to need for that generator or diesel fuel? If you think you're going to be able to keep an unlimited supply of diesel or gasoline around for your generator, guess again. It's not going to happen. You're not going to have enough. True, if you have access to solar power that's working and a wind turbine that's working, yeah, you might be okay. But you're still going to need to make sure you have enough food and medical supplies. People do get hurt. Okay? People get hurt every day. So you got to have those things you need. Now, by the way, I watch the Dave Richards Old Time Machine Shop, and one of the things is his machine shop will continue to be chugging along, EMP or not, because his entire shop depends on the steam boiler that runs all machining tools. Now, why can't an individual have a small steam-powered generator generating electricity? You can. And it's no problem. Except, of course, what you need. Fuel. Depending on the power boiler you're using, the fuel may be pieces of wood crates, or it may be coal, or it might be burning both, or it might be burning natural gas, or propane, or bunker fuel, bunker C, whatever. The point is you could be using any kind of fuel. A steam generator will allow you to generate electricity. As long as you have water for your generator and fuel to make it for your boiler, you can have all the power you want. Well, depending, of course, in a hurricane environment, you're going to have plenty of fuel, old houses, and things like that you could throw in there and burn. But water, clean water for your generator could be a problem. But you're not drinking it, so it doesn't matter if it has flesh-eating bacteria in it, does it? No. Then you just want to remove as much of the crud as you can, filter it, and then pour that into your generator, and the water will, of course, the bacteria should be killed off when it's turned into steam, and then, of course, that goes to your steam motor or steam turbine, and they got electricity, right? They're all set. But then again, your neighbors will notice that you have electricity when they don't. And unless they are very friendly neighbors, or if they're not desperate, they're going to seriously want to do a little bit of an investigatory thingy, if you will, a little trip. Because they'll see that you have food, you have fuel, you have water, you have guns, and they're going to be getting a little bit more than anxious because they're going to realize that you're better than them. And there's nothing more dangerous than a hungry, angry human being. Okay? It's really serious. Nothing more dangerous than a hungry, angry human being that's trying to figure out how to feed their family when they see somebody else, as far as they're concerned, living the high life with electricity and possibly nice satellite TV, which I don't think would do any good, but the hell with that throw out there anyway. Or at least watching DVDs of their favorite TV shows from prior to the big EMP or whatever, the sun or whatever. Yeah, that is an issue. And that is a really serious issue. And so, like I said, the one person that commented on this morning's video, I actually got the impression he was very scared. Because one of the things that people, when they're scared, do, say things like, you don't know jack about that. It's really, I could read it in his message that he was extremely uncomfortable with that. Well, my dear friend, you're not alone. In fact, so many Americans are so ill-prepared that maybe, just maybe the Department of the Defense and Homeland Security is right. Maybe 90% of Americans will die within a year. From the lack of food, lack of clean water, lack of sanitation, disease running rampant, marauders killing for food, whatever. Yeah, it really could happen. And North Korea already knows that this country is already starting to come apart at the seams. It wouldn't take much to basically push this country over the edge, really. So I'm not even going to bother turning on a monetization for this bcast, because I know dang well that YouTube will demonetize it anyway. But I will just say this much. Guys, be safe, okay? Things are out of control. And I'm not trying to scare you because I find it fun. I don't even usually like to talk about this kind of stuff. But I had to talk about it in 2012. And we did realize in 2012 that some people were preparing, some were just totally incapable of doing so. If you were incapable of doing so, yeah, you can talk a great game, but the sad truth is, deep down in your heart, you're saying to yourself, does this person know jack what she's talking about? And then it's deep down in your heart of hearts, I honestly don't want to find out. My dear friends, I don't either. But you know what? Do your best. Prepare. Don't forget, Sunday of this week, 6 p.m. Eastern Time is the live stream. It's already been announced. It has already gone out. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you guys here. Again, if you want to leave questions and talk about things like this, you need to be on YouTube as a registered YouTuber, and you can answer. You can ask questions on the chat. We'll be using Google Hangouts on air, so again, you will be able to see the questions as I do when they come in. So you will be able to see them. So if for some reason I miss a question, I may not get to every single question. Okay, the weather for Sunday is going to be a little warmer. It's going to be like 25 degrees. And then Monday's going to be really kind of cold. And then it's going to warm up again. It looks like an extended forecast after that. But I'm getting kind of feeling that somebody at the National Weather Services obviously can't decide what the weather's going to be. Because it's really, really been kind of crazy. I had to turn my heater on, my little electric heater on in here today. We got the studio lights on now. It was producing about 600 watts of heat, so I had to turn the heater off or I blow a fuse. So I can't have the heater and the lights on at the same time. But no matter, okay, I want you to be safe, and that's why I'm telling you this. It's not to make money. I'm not even going to turn on monetization for this video. I'm going to leave it off. I want you to be safe. That's the most important thing. It's not necessarily because I'm trying to make a shock video to make a fortune. Not that I'll make a fortune anyway, but I can tell you right now that this month has been pretty good financially. It looks like this month's revenue at this point is about $5.16, which isn't bad. Really. I'm really kind of happy with that. It's about $5.16. But for now, I also welcome your comments. And just understand, I'm just as concerned as you are, so don't say I don't know Jack what I'm talking about, because unfortunately, I really wish I didn't. But for now, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.